guys, it's Emma. Today I'm going to be doing my labor and delivery story and how it felt giving birth at just 18 years old. Let's get right into the video. Alright, so I started contracting August 16th, so on my due date, around, I want to say about like 9:30, 10 o'clock p.m. And they started off pretty mild, like contractions do. And that day, is that funny? That day I had actually been to see my OB, and 2 weeks prior to that, I was measuring at 5 centimeters dilated. So I was already halfway done, or halfway of dilating, and my OB said that my labor was gonna be fairly easy. Yeah, it was. Anyway, so my contractions progressively got worse. Not like they weren't bad, but I had to stop walking or talking when they started, and I was going through one. So I decided, I didn't sleep that entire night. I decided at 5:30 a.m. to wake my boyfriend up, and it might have been earlier than that. It might have been like 5. Anyway, I woke my boyfriend up and we headed to the hospital, and I started puking, and I guess that was just my body clearing out everything so I could get ready for labor. So I was waiting for the doctor because my OB was on call that morning until like 7, and she checked me. I was still 5 centimeters dilated. I wasn't contracting or anything. They were just Braxton Hicks. But since I was one day late, I wasn't even late. I was on time, but since I was one day past my due date, excuse you, she decided that the doctor that was gonna be on call that day was going to induce me. Oh, so they put me in a room and they gave me Gravol for my anxiety. No, they gave me morphine. They gave me morphine, and they gave you Gravol to go with it so you don't get nauseous. And they gave you that in your butt. So I got a needle in my butt and it didn't hurt at all. And I called my mom and my nana to let them know that I was going to be induced, and they could come to the hospital to be there while I was in labor and to watch Thea be born. So all day, like, they got there around like 9 a.m. maybe, and I slept most of the while that they weren't there, and I took a bath, and my boyfriend was there. So then after my mom and my grandma showed up, I told my boyfriend he could go home and get what he needed and go take a shower. And the nurse ended up asking me if I wanted to go home or if I just wanted to stay at the hospital. And I told her that I was already there and I wasn't going home. I'll just stay there and wait for the doctor to be available to induce me. So the contractions weren't that bad. They were manageable, and I could sleep through them. I ended up taking another bath, but not for long because I got really warm. And around 2, I got sick, and I let the OB on call know, and he asked my nana and my boyfriend if I actually physically got sick, and they told him yes. And they told him yes. So he decided that he was going to check how dilated I was, and I was at a 7 or an 8, I think. I was at a 7.5, maybe even. And and he broke my water and my contractions got a little bit worse. He broke my water at 3 and they put me on the fentanyl for contractions. I'm not sure why I took the fentanyl because I really didn't need it. I think it was just at the time I was afraid that the contractions were gonna get worse. And I wanted to be drugged before that happened. So my mom went to the mall to go get something, and my Nana called her and told her that they broke my water to get back to the hospital. So she got back to the hospital and I was having contractions, and I got up to go to the bathroom and I was bleeding a little bit. What's that, baby? Is that the TV? Is that the TV? And so I said I had to push, and we called the nurse, and she told me to just hold it because I wasn't fully dilated yet. So I held it, and like 5 minutes later, maybe 10, I can't really remember, I got up and I yelled at the nurse. I was like, I have to push. And she checked how dilated I was because she kept telling me I wasn't fully dilated, and she checked me and I was a full 10 centimeters dilated. So haha, she was an awesome nurse though. She was the best nurse. And so she helped. I started pushing. They weren't gonna call the doctor in until she started crowning, and I pushed for 45 minutes. And I pushed for 8 minutes straight, so I had 2 little tears. They weren't bad though. And then the time came where she started crowning. What? And do you like the TV? And I pushed this little bean out at 5:29 p.m. on August 17th, 2019, the day after my due date. So in total, my active labor was 2.5 hours, which is not bad at all. The nurse told me for first-time moms, they usually push for over 2 hours, and I only pushed for 45 minutes. And it wasn't that bad, and it was all totally worth it. They did have to end up taking her to the NICU because since I was on fentanyl, they had to counteract the effects of the fentanyl just in case it affected her. So they gave her Narcan, and it's completely safe. They obviously wouldn't give it to her if it wasn't. And she was in the NICU for 5.5 hours. So I only really got to see her for probably about a total of like 6 minutes, not even. And then they brought it to my room finally at nighttime, and I finally got to see her, and I was the only one there. So I got my alone time with her, which was really nice. Anyway, I know this wasn't a long video, but my labor wasn't long, and neither was my delivery. So I'll make up for the video next time. Okay, have a great day.